Grand day, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. I am your co-host today, Chase Steele Gray, along with Gio Gonzalez and Sorel Kiton. And we're going to have a really interesting show today with a really great guest. But before we begin, I got to do the joke. Okay, who am I going to speak to today? Let's see. Let's go with Andrea. You seem to be the one to go with. You're the prize participant. Andrea, what did one hat say to another?
I have no idea, Chase.
He said, "You stay here. I'll go on ahead." Hey, man, I had to come out strong on that one. I had to come out. It was my first one. What can I say? Well, welcome everyone.
So wrong in so many levels.
It's always good on the Daily Huddle. We have a great guest today with our title, Is There a Silver Lining? With a mental health challenge, addiction, or suicide ideation. But before we do that, we always like to speak to some of our participants here, ask a few questions just to get everything going and moving in the right direction. I think I'm going to ask Fareed today. I haven't seen your face. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good morning.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you. My question is, where are you and what time is it?
Well, I'm here today. It's the day I'm here. I'm on the Daily Huddle, and it's time for our Daily Huddle.
Excellent. Why not? Let's go with, let's see, who are we going to talk to today? We got some interesting people in here today. I did not see. Oh, let's go with Rashida. Rashida, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, maybe she's not available. No problem. Sorel, let's go with you.
Let's do that, Chase.
All right. Oh, hi, Rashida. Can you hear me?
Rashida's signal is bad, so let's move on.
What was the question?
Oh, I didn't ask it yet, lovely woman.
Yes, I can hear you.
My question to you is, who will you hug today and what are you grateful for? All right. Well, you got to see.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
It's a little choppy, Rashida, but you're here. All right, Chase, you're on mute, buddy. Get off mute and let's move forward.
Okay. Well, Sorel, I asked you the question. What are you grateful for and who will you hug today?
Buddy, I'm grateful for a space of no judgment. I love that. I am grateful for being here, and I'm grateful for our guest this morning.
Excellent. And who will you hug today?
I'm going to hug a meeting with a client at 10 a.m. So that's who I'm going to hug.
Hug the client. See, there's something that we love to hear, right? I hug my clients too. I don't care. I do it anyway. Well, thank you so much for that. And as I said before, we have an amazing question today, actually a very great topic. We have our guest today, Jeff Neuman. Really fascinating story. Once again, the question is there a silver lining with a mental challenge, addiction, or suicide ideation? And I just want to give you a little bit about our guest today before we go forward, just a little tidbit of who we'll be speaking to. Just again, fascinating information and stories. Jeff Neuman is a proud father, a brother, and a friend. He carries a dual citizenship in Canada and in the USA, and he's dedicated to improving the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness in his coaching practice, Rome Training. So much good stuff to say about this guy. I love it. Jeff is teaching CEOs, sales employees, and others how to succeed and monetize with mental health challenges, and family and friends are the vehicles that sets him apart from others. But let's get right over to Jeff. I don't want to spoil any of his time. We are limited here. Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Good. Thanks for the invite. I didn't expect all these people. I thought only I and Sorrel were going to be on. And now I see a whole classroom of people. Unbelievable.
Yeah. You should have hit the Sinatra line. Hey, how'd all these people get in my room?
No, it's really nice to be here. And yeah, the topic is of interest, not only for me, because I am a person challenged with bipolar, but what I do is I talk throughout New Jersey, and I talk to hundreds of people within my livelihood on mental health. So yeah, it's and we have fun talking about it, believe it or not. But I'll just leave you with this, that I'm not crazy. I just think differently than you guys. But yeah, so that's my topic. Is there a silver lining?
Interesting. If I may, just before you go forward, I'd like to ask you, in your particular position and in your mental arena that you play in, what do you feel is the greatest or the most prevalent misconception about the challenges that you have as people see you from the outside looking in?
The greatest challenge that I see is one word, and we all experience it. It's called stigma. So the getting over the stigma, the prejudice, the stereotypes of mental illness can be very frustrating and very challenging, because mental illness does carry a stigma, like a lot of things do. However, when it comes to physical and mental health, it's more prevalent that people do not disclose themselves. And when you do not disclose maybe what you're going through, it only affects you even worse than what you think would happen if you told, let's say you, Chase, if I came to you and I said, Chase, I know you're a good friend of mine. I trust you. I love you, but I have something to share. And because I trust you and because I love you and vice versa, I will tell you that I'm challenged to get support. That doesn't happen. That does not happen because too many people are scared, especially in the work environment. What are you going to do? Go up to your president, owner of the company, and say, listen, I'm challenged with bipolar. Automatically, can you do your job? Will you wake up in the morning? Are you going to get flustered during the day and take your chair and throw it across the room? Will you cause havoc in the lunchroom? All these things do come up. And so yeah.
Let's go to the actual question, right, of the day. Is there a silver lining with the mental health for you? Speaking, one-on-one or 1-on-10, whatever it is. What do you feel is your silver lining? Like, what is the thing that is like, yes, I have these challenges, but how would you?
Yeah, it's a great question, and let me address it this way. I know we only have a very short amount of time, so I'm not going to expand on it. Imagine this. Imagine a 9-year-old boy living in a city with his entire family and other people within the city, a very large city, and having a great life, going to school, doing everything a 9-year-old should be doing. However, there are rumors spreading throughout the city and other cities that the German Nazis are coming to your city to take over the city. So Germany is coming into Europe. Now, that 9-year-old boy just happens to be my dad,
Right.
who survived 5 concentration camps. Now, the reason I bring it up, he carried with him, most likely, he was never diagnosed, most likely a very severe case of chronic depression and anxiety. So what I started to do was study and read about the DNA on how you can get this disease, because I have no clue as to how I got it. I'm clueless. But because of the transfer of DNA to your sibling, to your son, I may have gotten the disease. But the reason why it really kicks in is because all my 3 young adults, Jared, Brad, and Amanda, have been diagnosed with a mental illness. They're all doing great. But so my dad injected me with his poison. I took that syringe and I injected my kids. Oh my gosh, that's terrible, Jeff. Now, why the silver lining? Up until the age of 52, I was living what you would consider, well, most people would consider the American dream. Personally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. I had a multi-million-dollar organization. I was married. I was healthy. I had multiple homes. I had multiple cars, had a great 401k. Now, I'm saying this not to impress you, but to impress upon you things can happen. So at the age of 52, things started to happen. I got diagnosed and I lost everything. I filed bankruptcy twice, went through a divorce, had a heart attack, lost my family, lost friends, lost all my money in the bank, lost all my homes, lost all my cars, down to nothing. Okay, down to nothing. Now, over time, I had to do something. I was in denial, but I had to do something. And I started to radically accept that I was sick. Before that time, I didn't do anything because, like I said, I was in denial because of the stigmas behind it. I didn't want to share. I didn't want to get help. I didn't even want to talk to a doctor. I was ashamed by that. I felt guilty. So up until that time, radical acceptance, which happens to be the name of my podcast, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. So I radically accepted my illness. Now I started to move my way towards recovery. Now that's not easy. It takes a lot of pain. It takes a lot of practice and it takes a lot of patience. But I did that. And I had to think about my dad because my dad was resourceful. He was resilient. He was vulnerable and he was radically accepting his situation. So I got those traits from my father because I was incredibly powerful to become resourceful, become resilient, become vulnerable, and radically accept where I was at that point in time. So that's how a silver lining comes, because most people, and I know this because I teach and guide throughout New Jersey, like I said, facility groups, I go to colleges, I go to K through 12, I speak, whatever. And so many people who are living these conditions feel it may be a death sentence for them. You know, they'll never recover. They don't see the silver lining at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I've been there, but I had to put a lot of work into it. So many people are feeling like they're a victim of their disease. They are their disease. You see, when you first asked me, I didn't say I'm Jeff bipolar. I said I'm Jeff who is I'm Jeff who is a person challenged by bipolar. Right. I told myself I'm a person, and so that's how the silver lining came to be. That came to be.
Really great. I mean, really, really an amazing story. Before I pass it over to Sorrel or Gio, if they have any question, I have to, of course, speak about the giant zebra in the room, which is that instrument behind you, because that's my tribe. I'm a musician. And as soon as the screen came on, I said, "Oh, yes, yes."
That's
So
my bass.
tell me what part music has taken in your journey and how it has soothed you or given you an oasis to kind of exist within. I mean, I think I know the answer, but I want to make sure that you are given an opportunity to verbalize it, because I know.
No, it's great that you asked that. This is my bass guitar. I actually have three others hanging up right
I
behind.
can see that you have others. Just
Yeah, I got one there, whatever. Okay, so I got the bass. I started practicing bass about, I want to say about a year and a half ago. I'm actually a drummer by pretty much a lot longer. Okay, I always wanted to play the bass, so I picked it up. I'm taking lessons now. But to answer your question, it's not so much the bass. I use the bass as one of my coping skills. All right. When I start feeling stressed, anxious, depressed, which I do, I actually relapse at times. I really go into a chronic state because I'll always have that DNA in me for being bipolar. I just got out of a relapse about 4 weeks ago. I was chronic for a while. But to answer your question, so the bass guitar I use for soothing myself, calming myself down. But I'll say this. Some of the best therapists in the country have 4 legs. And what do I mean by that? An animal is incredibly powerful for being an emotional support anchor. Okay. Right. That being said, I adopted a 3-year-old cat just 2 weeks ago. And nice. Ringo, I named him Ringo because of drums. He's right over there. So now I have a cat. Ringo. Yeah,
Ringo the drumming cat.
Yeah, so I got a full house of support things for myself, because even though I am, quote, recovered, I never lose the conscious. I'm always conscious of the fact that I could relapse, just like alcohol, like an alcoholic. You could have a friend, and I have these friends who haven't had a drink in 30 years, and they still go to the meetings for AA. They don't need to go, but they always go, and they stay in front of their disease. I go to my meetings every day. And I get supported. I don't need to go, because if you were to look at me and see how I sound, you say, Jeff, I mean, you're cool. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with you, right? But you don't know what's going on inside of me. So I need to keep this disease in front of me, and how I do that, I work my coping skills every day, and I go to my support groups. That's what I do. Yeah,
I appreciate that so much, Jeff. I mean, your vulnerability is so calming to watch you from this perspective. So I appreciate all the information, and I know all about the therapy of music. It is a very powerful thing. I would like to pass it over to Sorrel. Sorrel, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Jeff, thank you so much for being like the icon of what the Daily Huddle is all about, especially on today's program, which is about health and wellness. You have taken your life in your own hands with whatever cards life had dealt you. So thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for being here to create the space where we can say, I am who I say I am. I am Jeff Neuman, who is challenged by bipolar. So now, Jeff, I'm interested in, you created Rome training. How does your condition inform what you do with your clients? And given the stigma you talked about earlier, is there a silver lining now for a coach who is challenged by bipolar? How's that working out?
You mean, how do I use my circumstance to coach other people?
Yeah, to coach other people. You work with CEOs, you work with business people. How does your life contribute to others?
Oh my gosh, Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I always thought I've had 4 organizations, 3 prior to Rome training, all different industries, everything from biofuels to IT to consulting. And I always thought that it was all about helping others, obviously in service, but making money. And I've made a load of money. And again, not to impress you, I now find, because of what happened to me, that my purpose, my why, is to advocate what I am going through. Now, through my advocacy of mental health, I tend to get in front of people who will not open up to me, especially in business. Again, they're running a who has that small company mentality? What's his name?
Small company mentality.
That was Mr. Brian Roosh.
Okay, Brian. Yeah. The company, the CEOs or the president or the owner, they have this mindset that if they disclose themselves, their company will get affected. So what happens with me is exactly what happened here today. As soon as I disclose right in front of them, before I even start the meeting, because I sense they called me in because of health and wellness, I'll just stand right in front of them, right in their office, and say, before we start, let me just tell you, I am a person challenged with bipolar, just like that. Now, as soon as I say that, they just, oh my gosh, what a relief it is. Because some of my employees, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but I sense there's something going on there. Or maybe they sense something more intimate to themselves, like themselves. And they haven't exposed themselves to anybody. But as soon as I open my mouth, they will say, oh my, Jeff, I got to share something with you. Yes, I'm having some concerns. And so it helps them by doing that, because now I could work with them with their business acronym, using bipolar as leverage. Actually, it's almost like fear. We get stopped by fear for many reasons. Everybody has their own reason why they don't move forward, because they're scared to do a lot of things. When people start to make fear their friend and make fear fun, fear becomes nothing more than just another word, and now they start breaking through, and all their limited beliefs go away because of their fears that they can't get it, they'll lose money, they're not smart enough, they're not wealthy enough, they don't have a thin body, whatever that fear may be. Once they eliminate it, but it's still there, they'll have a breakthrough without a doubt. So mental health is similar. And that's why the stigma, once you break through stigma, you really don't care what people say. It's funny, at 20 years old, when you're 20 years old, you care what everybody thinks about you. You're always looking out for yourself. At 40 years old, you really don't care. At 60 years old, you realize nobody was thinking about you in the first place. But it took you 60 years to figure that out, right? So if we can get people to figure it out earlier, like in their 20s, just think what could happen.
Jeff, you were absolutely right. Time flies on the show, and Chase and I and Gio want to give other people an opportunity to get a little piece of you by asking you a question.
Sure.
Cece has a question for you, Jeff.
Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for your share. My name is Cece. I am recovered from that seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And thank you so much for the courage to share. And how do we get in contact with you? And what steps did you take to overcome the challenge that you had?
Well, to get in touch with me, you could obviously Google me. I mean,
I
technology.
posted everything in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, I put everything in the chat. I'm sure if you have show notes with this, you'll write it up. You can go, it's Jeff at Rome like the city, rometraining.com. I have a podcast called Radical Acceptance. You can look that up. There are many ways to get a hold of me, and you can contact Sorrel and he can give you the information. I think that's the easiest way. But how did I overcome, CC? That's a great question. I'll just throw this back into your lap. I will never overcome my disease. All right. If I never have another relapse, it doesn't mean that I cannot have one. So that's why I have to be very conscious of my emotional states, because if I get triggered and I don't know what would trigger me, the last relapse I had was about 3 weeks ago, but prior to that 3 weeks, I went through 15 weeks of chronic depression. I know what triggered me, and I haven't had that feeling for about 2 years. What triggered me was my girlfriend and I broke up, all right, after a year. I don't know why, but that triggered me into 15 weeks of chronic depression where I was under my bed sheets for days. I wasn't coming out. I was crying. I was anxious. I was miserable. I didn't work. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't do anything until I started pumping in my coping skills every day. And like I said, that was the pain, practice, and patience. It took me 15 weeks to step out of it. Notice I didn't say to recover. I stepped out of it because who knows what's going to happen in a couple of months. I may relapse again. Okay. It's almost like a infinity circle. If you know what an infinity circle looks like, it's one of these. You can't get out of it. You just keep on going high and then you go low. The high is manic, the low is depression. So that's where I'm living right now. And a lot of people live that life, but they can function in society. Again, I'm functioning, I'm successful, but it takes a lot of work to do that. How are we going to do that? I'm practicing to get a TED Talk, and I'm going to be on stage. And this is what I have to explain and talk about in 13 minutes, to change the world. What's my idea worth spreading? So that's what is my idea?
Well,
my idea is that silver lining.
Yeah, that there is a silver lining.
Yeah.
Chase, do you have a final point before we
Time gets away from us. Goodness gracious. No, I really just appreciate your candor and your delivery. And I wonder about the internal thoughts about people who are suffering with this disease all the time. I have a couple of friends who are suffering from it, but I don't really speak to them a lot about it. I wait for them to come to me because I, like you said in the beginning, don't want to be like, make it weird or anything like that. But I really do appreciate you being with us today. It definitely was moving. I have a lot of thoughts in my head. We could probably talk about this for another hour.
Absolutely.
I did not get bored with this topic. It's something that we need to be aware of. So I greatly appreciate you. We didn't get to hear from Gio at all, but I know you're there, brother. If anyone else has any other questions, I think we're coming up on.
Yes, Ronald has a final question, and we'll use that final question to give you, Jeff, your last word for today.
Okay.
Ronald, go ahead.
Hey
You
man,
got
this is good.
30
This is
seconds.
good. This is
30
good.
seconds.
I'm kind of really, I didn't get the top of the conversation, but this is great. And thank you, Jeff, for confirming what Sorrel said on his birthday. When you turn 60, you don't give a hoot about what people do. And I remember Sorrel said that on his birthday. And I just wanted to add this, man. When you get 60, you don't give a hoot about what people think, man. That was so
Right.
good. I just
Right.
wanted to put that in.
Thank you, Ronald. It's so true, though. I'll be 65 in about 2 weeks, so I'm riding that horse.
Excellent.
All right, man. That's all I
Good deal.
had. I just
Good
thought
deal.
I'll put the little smile out there.
Well, Jeff, thank you for being here. Thank you for accepting Jenny's invitation to connect with us.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
to create the space where we can expand what it is to be a healthy human being. And in your speaking, I get that being healthy is, claiming it in some way. You talk about the infinity loop, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm challenged by bipolar and my life is like the infinity loop and I'm living that life deliberately. I get to say how it goes. And sometimes I go in and then I come back out.
Right.
And that's
Right.
what it is. So I thank you for your courage. I thank you for your generosity. And I thank you for the difference that you're making for millions in the world.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Excellent. Excellent, Jeff.
I'll just say this. So my self-care was not something I was given. It wasn't given to me. My self-care was something I needed to claim. And you just said it so beautifully in a different way, Sorrel. I have to claim my self-care, because if I don't, I could be in bad shape. But that goes for everybody. That goes for everybody.
thank you. Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
Chase, we'll end as we usually do, my friend.
Yes, sir. Shall
You know-
I or shall you?
Go ahead.
Thank you for joining us today on the Daily Huddle. As we always do, we end with our tenets that we really, really stand by and work really hard to push them out into the world. That, of course, is to live out loud, laugh in the best way possible, laugh out loud, sleep, get your sleep. Please get some more sleep. Eat mostly plant-based as much as you can. Your body will love you, love you, love you for it. And of course, check yourself before you wreck yourself, please. We love you here in the Daily Huddle. Thank you so much for joining us. So, so great to see all of you here. Go about your day in a forward motion. Thank you so much.
Peace.
Peace.
Love you all. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye now.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Thank you.